We all need to take stock on what works. And sometimes what works for us as adults is not what works for children.
We've seen her pop up in our social media news feeds and in the news. She's been talking on some radio shows about the reopening of schools in South Africa. So, Cape Town local mom and high school teacher, what are your thoughts and feelings as a mom and as a school teacher? Maybe easing back into it for the parents who haven't gone back yet and those who have.
Good communication between school and parents has been incredibly important. And if parents are feeling that they don't have control over their situation, they need to contact their schools. They need to communicate with their teachers and their principals. The more communication you have and the more information you have, the more you can control. As a mom with a child who is in primary school, a lot of parents are having to send their children back to school because they have to work, even if they don't want to. Talking to your kids as a parent, I know I talk to my son a lot about what is going to happen, the expectation of wearing a mask. So kids have got these masks on for 6 hours a day. Let them understand that they're going to feel claustrophobic, that it makes their nose feel funny, and that they can't take it off. They can take it off to eat, and then they've got to put it straight back on again. There's not going to be a time in the school day where the teachers say, okay, everybody masks off. I hate wearing one all day. When I'm teaching, I have a screen on one of those Perspex screens so that the kids can at least see my face. You know, I don't have it on for 6 hours a day. I go off to my little office and I can get on with work in the times that I'm not teaching. One of the things I think for parents do, especially ones that are going back a little bit later, you know, grade 6, 5, 4, 3, all the way back, take your kids walking with their masks on. Take your kids for drives in the car with their masks on. Stop somewhere, buy a cup of coffee or a cup of hot chocolate for your kids, whatever, and just talk them through how their day is going to be when they are wearing these masks. Talk to them about their feelings, that it's okay to feel scared. It's okay to be anxious. And I think for parents, you need to acknowledge that it is okay to be anxious for you as well. This is an unprecedented time that nobody could ever have predicted was going to happen. I mean, I look around my school and I'm seeing children with masks on, where I'm used to seeing children laughing, walking together, they're telling the odd boy or girl to let go of each other's hands, whereas now they can't even be close enough to hold hands or give each other a cuddle.
That first day, welcoming the kids back, what was that like for you? And how did your students respond?
Some of the students didn't know how to feel, so they were like deer in the headlights. And what we did is we kind of almost had like a welcoming committee as they walked in the door. So there was staff kind of at the gate where they're coming in, going, morning, hi, so nice to see you, we've missed you. And that kind of put them at ease. And then we talk them through as they're going through, they've got to wash their hands, they've got to fill in a questionnaire every day, asking if they've got a temperature or a sore throat or have been in contact with anyone with COVID. We had some kids who were super excited to be back at school and they almost bounced their way through the gates. And we had others who were really petrified. Every day got easier. So Tuesday was a bit of a learning curve for everybody. But by Wednesday morning, everybody knew what was going on and it's become much easier transition. There's far less anxiety from staff and from kids.
Back to school in the global pandemic with COVID-19, any schools that don't have as many resources for fancy equipment and things, are there any sort of strategic measures that you guys have taken that you think other schools could adopt?
Simple things like in the classroom, you've got the desks spaced 1.5 meters away. So they cannot move their desks. And it's very easy to see when one desk is out of line. And unfortunately, creative desks, you're no longer able to do them. You can't have your groupings and things like that. They're going to be in straight lines and they're going to be 1.5 meters apart from one another. Another thing is that we have our kids sitting in alphabetical order. So every single child, every single lesson that child is going to be in that desk. So if anything does go wrong, let's say, for example, someone is infected with COVID, we can then contact all the kids around them and say, look, Bob has been found positive with COVID. You are the one sitting within a radius of him. We would like you to quarantine for however many days just to be certain. And in every classroom, there's a list of where the kids need to be sitting. So if a different teacher walks in, they can say, okay, on the class list, this is where the children need to be sitting. The kids are generally staying in one classroom for the majority of the day. They have to move with elective subjects, but they're staying in one classroom for the rest of the day. So they are having minimal contact with other children throughout the day, and they're not moving through the corridors. The teachers are moving. Another thing is when we get to break time, we're letting the kids out 5 at a time at like 30 seconds to a minute intervals. So they're not all hoarding out of the classroom at the same time. And you've got teachers in the passage just reminding them stay 1.5 meters apart. We've also kind of barricaded off parts of the school that they can't go to. So they're all in one section of the school, like the front fields or the grandstand area, because it's only the matrics, we can do that and have them in one section. We have even put on the field, we've even put beacons at 1.5 meter spacings. So the kids are aware where their 1.5 meters is, because it's very difficult. I mean, I know even as an adult, I got back to work and we've got lovely relationships within our staff groupings. So we've missed each other, we enjoy going to work, we enjoy seeing each other, and we could feel ourselves gravitating towards one another and getting quite close and going, oh wait, we need to move away from one another. So it's difficult for us. So it's clearly difficult for kids.
Obviously there'll be fear and things, and it does take adjustment, but have you found that the students are being quite proactive and there's a sense of unity in this?
Yeah, they've been really good. They've been really great at it. I mean, teenagers are teenagers, and you're going to have those that push the boundaries and push the buttons, but that's all part and parcel of it. I think they realize this isn't just a school saying, well, you can't do this because we say so. It's about saving everybody. It's about looking after everybody. And there is unity in that. I think they're feeling a little bit like they've lost out on a big year for them. They're losing out on matric dances, and they're losing out on first team sports and all those things that they've worked so hard for their entire high school career to get. School plays, all those types of things that kids have worked towards. And I think for them coming back to school is almost like a symbol that, hey, maybe we'll get a couple of those things back. Maybe we can have a matric dance at the end of the year. Maybe we can have something that is about us. They want to get their matric certificate. They're generally quite hardworking. And I say generally.
For the younger kids, because they haven't gone back yet.
I'm quite concerned about the grade 1s and 2s and R's going back, not because I'm more concerned about their health, but it's more difficult for them to understand. It's more difficult for them to understand that they can't hug their teacher, because those relationships, those foundational relationships with teachers and their friends at school shape their experience of school going through. It's so hurtful for a little person to be told, well, you can't hug me. Or they run up to their teacher and want to give them a big hug, and then they have to, the teacher's like, no, don't. And the teacher's not doing it because they don't love their children. They're doing it because they do. So I worry about it from that perspective, but they're also going back so much later that I'm hoping that kind of we'll be past the peak of this. And there can be a little bit more normality for the littlies when they go back. But it's also incredibly difficult for parents having their children at home that are so young, because they need so much hands-on looking after. Foundation phase is so important. But at the same time, you hesitate, and I understand the hesitation.
In our previous chats, actually with an addiction and recovery coach, we spoke about an early childhood attachment insecurities and the effect that can have later on, and that during lockdown we asked him if perhaps this could be something parents need to be watching out for, because a lot of school teachers had said that parents had expressed that their children have become a lot more clingy and needy during lockdown, because they're associating their parents being home all the time with they're going to get attention, but the parents are actually at home now working all the time. So the kids are like, what is going on? And the children can't express, I need attachment. So now when they go back to school, again, like kids crave that physical attachment, and they're not going to be able to do that. So, and like you say, how do you explain that to them?
I think we need to be very aware of that especially our younger kids. And also kids who don't have great home environments. Those that don't have great home environments need to come back to school because it's a safe space for them. And those that do have good home environments, some of them don't want to leave that environment because it is a safe space. And then you have the attachment issues, and you have also a massive anxiety around health, because a lot of the time we talk to our children like we would other adults, instead of breaking it down like we are talking to children. And so they get part of the information because they don't have the cognitive development and the maturity to really understand all the nuances in what we're saying. So when I say to you, oh my gosh, lockdown, I'm so over this, worried about this virus, and I'm going to get sick, and my kid thinks, my mom's worried, she's going to get sick, what's going to happen to me? My suggestion to parents would be, talk to your children on the level that they are at. So if they are 18 years old, there's a very different conversation to have. But when they're 6, 7, 5, you need to find a way to communicate with them on their level, not like you're speaking to another adult. I'd also be quite careful of the conversations you have about this while they're within earshot. There is a flapping all the time listening for adult conversations. So if you are sitting with your partner, or even on a telephone call, talking to someone about it and your kids are within earshot and you say things that you don't intend for them to hear, they are going to process that in their own way. As a parent, you need to be the captain of the ship in this, on what kind of information your child is getting. Check in with them daily. Maybe when you sit down at supper time, how are you feeling? How did today go? What bothered you today? How are things going? And just do a daily check-in, because often, especially when you're stuck in the same house, you get into this rhythm of often being like ships in the night, where you're in the same space. Okay, so everybody's fine and everybody's fine, but maybe not everybody's fine. But Bobby doesn't want to say so because they know you're under stress, and you keep saying, well, I'm busy, I'm working, I don't have time, I'm busy, I'm working. And Bobby goes, well, then I'm not going to talk at all. We've got a duty of care to our kids, and that's the bottom line. And for some kids, school is safer than home, regardless of a pandemic. The feeling for a lot of staff is, we're going to do this thing, we're going to do everything we humanly possible to protect ourselves and our kids, but we also need to look after those ones who get food at school and those who school is safer for. You know, I know things are topsy-turvy at the moment, and it feels like there's this unending issue and problem and pandemic that's going on, but all is not lost. Things are going to find their own shape. The reality is that even before COVID, the Trek students in particular had to take responsibility for their own learning. There's too much that needed to happen to leave it in somebody else's hands. They are resilient. They are very capable, and I think we underestimate what our kids can do. I'm often floored by the attitude and the willingness and the ability of young people. They are capable. They can do it. We need to support them, but we need to give them an opportunity to do it. Take a deep breath. It's not easy. It is okay not to feel okay in this, but to know that they are resilient and they are capable, and they will come out the other side better for this.